everybody. I'm really excited. I grabbed Gerald out of the ether to help me tonight. Last minute spontaneity. It's all about spontaneity today.
Yes.
A couple weeks ago, I got inspired and designed 2 tarot decks.
I remember you talking about that.
One of them I sort of showed or shared a little bit with Ben, and it's a word oracle kind of thing. And I sort of jumped the gun on printing that, and I'm still not sure if it's okay as is or if I need to revise it. If we have spare time, we can look at that.
Okay. Press pause for a second, Robin.
Yeah.
Just to promote you, you actually did a video about that deck, the word deck on your channel. So so there you go, people. And people are coming in. So we've got 8 people watching. So I just sort of wanted to pause there before we went too long and people missed the exciting announcement about this.
Okay.
So
we'll say hello to Danielle and Early Ritual, Lady Wolf, Kim Moon Whisper, and M.A. the Gray.
Hello.
Will be popping in. Everybody's really prompt tonight, but usually it's last time I did a live. I'm not really good with StreamYard. I did a live and I rambled on for like 7 minutes, not realizing I hadn't actually begun the broadcast. I hadn't gone live. And then I thought, damn, anybody that showed up left. But I was wondering why there was nobody in chat. It seemed a little bit odd.
It's a mistake you just make once or twice.
Well, and last time I was on with Ben before this previous time, I left the studio before I ended the broadcast. And he was just hanging out there waiting for whatever, you know. Luckily, I realized what I'd done and came back in. But
and I saw Jane the Seeker come in. So Jane the Seeker Tarot. She's going to watch back because it's a little late for her.
Okay.
So, but yeah.
All right, let's dive in. We're not gonna go long tonight, maybe an hour. So, I got inspired a couple weeks ago to create 2 decks over the course of the weekend. One was this idea of a word oracle or a word tarot, both based on the major arcana. And the word one would be a single keyword for each card. And it would be sort of to appeal maybe to people that wanted to learn how to read with cards, but really didn't want to study or, you know, delve into it. They wanted to read with them, you know, fresh out of the box. So I tried to come up with a single word that felt right for me. And thereby I may or may not tweak a couple of the words, but anyway, we can get into that later. That's not what this is about. The second one I was inspired by, there's a guy whose name I forgot, who is design. He had started a pre-order or a Kickstarter or something for a mushroom or toadstool deck. And there aren't that many out there. I think there's 1 or 2.
Sure.
And I don't really like the look of the other ones, but I liked his, but he was going to make us wait from the spring till sometime this fall. And I was getting kind of anxious about it. And then I know some of our friends like Zane Tarot Token Witchery. He's designed his own deck using Canva.com. And I thought, okay, I haven't really done that yet. I mean, I've used Canva to sort of transfer my own images and tweak them, but I haven't seen really what's available in their artwork there. And I have sort of my qualms anyway about using other people's artwork.
Sure.
But I'm trying to come to terms with it. Basically, I feel like not everybody creates the art in their own decks. We have famous people that decks are credited to, and they hire or work with professional illustrators. So I thought, okay, well, if I put my mind in that frame, then my professional illustrator that I've hired is whoever supplies the art at Canva. Anyway, I did a little a search for toadstools and mushrooms, and they had about 200 different images.
Wow. Okay.
In various styles of art. And I thought, okay, I can work with this, but I don't want them to be like all over the map, all different styles. I want some kind of consistency. So that's part of the art part for me. I didn't make the original art, but I did tweak them in terms of editing, and art is often about the editing anyway. So it's like
it really is. And I think it's an important thing for you. You are an artist and you appreciate the original creators. You honor that. So I completely understand that, Robin.
So yes. I specifically chose certain cards that were in a particular art style, basically simple outline, black outlined illustrations of mushrooms in kind of bright pop colors. And I discovered that I was able to tweak them in terms of the direction or orientation, and also change the colors in the. So when I have a deck of 22, I don't have 2 in a row that are like the same color. There's like some variety throughout the deck. And I also wanted to make this a different deck. We'll get into the system changes in a minute. But in terms of the format, I fell in love with these tall, skinny cards, and you can show the deck that
it is the La Corta Tarot, and I did on my channel, we did a deck casual. So they are long and narrow, and let me compare it to. This is your universal tarot, and so that's how they are a good half-inch taller and 3/4 of an inch.
I don't like oversized cards, but I don't have this deck, but I do love the format. I thought, oh, why don't more people make these tall, skinny cards? Well, I do have the Forest Fae. I don't know if you're familiar. You probably are familiar with this deck.
I just saw it this morning on Jane the Seeker when I was with her.
Rockpool puts out these little decks, and I think this is their best one. And I can't really read with it because it's Oracle and they quotes, and I don't like that part. But I do love the format, and also I love the illustrations in this deck. So I got this. I thought, gee, I wonder if Make Playing Cards, who I've worked with previously, if they have anything similar to this. And I discovered that they have a card format that they call Domino. And so I did this shape, and they're small cards, but compared to my open face tarot, which is bridge size, they're slightly smaller and slightly, I guess they're the same height, but they're narrower.
That's fascinating. Okay, that's great.
So I decided that I wanted to work with that format. And then the next thing was, I recently got this deck, the Running Press Tarot Kids. It's also called Tarot Nova, sometimes it's called. It's out of print. But these little cards are bright pop colors, and they have black backgrounds, which make the colors pop more, and they're glossy. And the glossiness of it really appeals to me. I don't always like glossy cards, but I like these because they remind me of Ukrainian or Russian enamels. If you're familiar with those, they do this sort of folk art kind of thing on these black backgrounds, and they're glossy, usually on wood or something. So anyway, I like that idea. So I kind of combined these ideas, and I thought, okay, I like little cards. I want little cards. I want them tall and skinny format. I want toadstools on them, and I want them on a black background so they really stand out because it's just a single like toadstool on each one. I want them to follow the major arcana. and I want them glossy because I want them to feel like little treasures and sort of not entirely
I see.
close to
Okay.
it.
Okay.
And I'm glad because I got another deck from them today on black, and it's not glossy and it looks cheap. So I think,
okay.
I mean, these are perfection to me. I'm so excited.
Oh, I love it.
Somehow
I love it.
got everything right for a change.
Well, Lady Blind Wolf said, as a partially blind person, I have to be quite careful about the decks I get.
Mm-hmm.
And M.A. the Gray said, yes, those Rockpool small decks are very satisfying size and shape. And Regina Tarot is here as well. So I completely understand what she's saying. And you've picked the black background to allow the colors to show up and to vibrate.
Yeah, I picked the black background. They're single toadstools, so they really stand off from the black, and especially because they're in bright pop colors. And so, yeah, I did things like switch direction and change some colors in them from the cap to the stem of the mushroom. But what they really are is this is a topic for discussion. This is a non-representational tarot deck. And for people that don't know what that means, it's basically, it's somewhere between a scenic one and a pip deck. It's basically the images don't have scenes going on in them, or the cards don't exactly represent the card. I mean, like the high priestess isn't a high priestess, it's a mushroom, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Did go through the toadstools and try to pick ones that for me seem to resemble an attitude or a direction, like they're leaning a certain way, or they have a it looks like a hat or something. All these little things that I really did think about them rather than just randomly throw mushrooms onto a deck.
Mm-hmm.
Also, when I order from MPC, I usually just get them shrink wrap, but so many people complain when they don't get a box. And for some reason, this one didn't cost any more for just a plain white tuck, even though I don't like tuck boxes, but you know, what the hey, at least it's some way to store it. And I thought, oh, it's going to be a generic bridge size box because these are special cards. They won't have the domino size box, but they did.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So that's the back of the deck?
This
what
is
you're showing right there? Or is that the...
It's the title card, which is the back, but it's got words on it. So that's the back. It's 3 toadstools and a little red star at the top.
Okay. And I mentioned that because Early Ritual said, I like the back of that card image. Yeah. So, and then Kim Moon Whisperer said, Robin, I love your excitement. And Tracy Ralph is here and enjoying that. So Kim Moon Whisperer likes the back.
And for little people, people that have little hands, no worries here. You know,
there you go.
I'm one of these people that prefers little cards to big cards. I know seems to be a majority out there that love the big cards, but this is for the rest of us. Sure. And also, I did this not only for myself because I wanted a toadstool deck, but I thought, oh, this could be a sort of a calling card or a signature for my channel. It's called it the Toadstool Tarot.
Very nice.
So
I like that.
Really happy about it, and I'll show you the cards now. So so we have the title card, of course, and you know, the back. Mm-hmm. And I have, and this is my guidebook on one card. It says Toadstool Tarot by R.L. Crutchfield, copyright 2022. 22 major arcana, 4 element cards, 4 court cards to combine and use as you see fit. So there's really no explanation on this, except that the system is a little different because we've got those extra cards, which you can either just read as a major arcana and then put the rest aside, use them as bookmarkers or whatever. Or if you can figure out your own way to use them, do that, or just read it like an oracle or whatever. But we're going to explore
Sure.
that once I get through
Yes.
showing
Yes.
the cards to you.
And I'm going to say, Robin, do you have something to take a sip with? Because
So I should.
No,
Okay.
this is actually wonderful. I'm enjoying your excitement, as are people who are watching. So it's delightful to see that. And Tracy Ralph added, it would be great for clarifiers too.
Mm-hmm.
That idea. And it's very much like Jane the Seeker Tarot is doing. And she and I did it this morning during her live, which is, Tuesdays with Tarot Stash exclusively on Jane the Seeker Tarot. We would use the open face tarot to pick a single card, because the open face tarot is a majors only.
Yeah.
And it's just a great overview or a great overall energy. Yeah. Yeah.
And
So.
yeah, these are little cards. I also have a larger tarot size, but you guys have been using the smaller one, which is dirt cheap. This is the cheapest tarot probably you can get on MPC. I think it's now about $9. It was like just under $8, I think, before, but they raised their prices. But still, I don't know where else you're going to find a deck on MPC for $9. You won't.
It's very effective. And M.A. the Gray said, nice deck for a walk in the forest, Robin.
Yeah.
So, all right.
And this is also good. I think this is good for online, for the camera, and also for people that can't see very well, because there's not a lot in here. The lines are really simple. And I'm curious, though, with this new deck, how you feel about non-representational cards. Like, I know that you're able to read both, regular cards, oracle cards, and pips, because we shared a Marseille study group together.
Yes.
How do you feel? You want to wait and see, or how do you feel about the idea that images may not match the title on the card?
I'll be honest with you. It's going to depend upon if the image, if you're talking about a direct representation, I just need to get an indication of the card that is being referenced in some form, because you had mentioned you were looking at gestures and sort of the attitude of the toadstool.
Well, when I looked at this, I thought, if you know tarot and you know the names of the cards, the title, that's all you really need. And for me, for this kind of a deck, it's not really so much about what's going on in the images, although I did try that a little bit. It's more about just knowing what the hermit means. When you get a hermit card, these are basically title cards that you can use with a pretty background. Okay?
Yeah.
So, you can ignore the mushrooms and toadstools if you want. They're just pretty colors or whatever. Or maybe you can read into them. We'll see.
Yeah, let's see what we have.
So the first card is the Fool. Now, I have the Fool sort of leaning in a direction as if it's traveling towards the future. And I picked they're not realistic in terms of the colors. I don't know if some of these mushrooms are colors you'll probably never see in the wild, but that's okay.
Sure.
So I made this one green because for me, green is beginning and growth, and the Fool for me is taking first steps. So I like the idea that it's almost like a character. It's almost going off the cliff or moving forward. So
I can see that. M.A. the Gray said, so it's like you're summoning the reader's collective knowledge of that archetype. So, and okay.
So I just kind of wanted a pocket major deck that I could use, that the colors will cheer me up. And it's so pretty to look at. And I think that the images work really well on a solid black background and just centered on the card. So I don't have a lot of black decks. This is the Magician. He's got a red cap, which sort of, there's a lot of red in the Magician card. I think he's got a red cloak or something. And there's like little bumps or something popping up all over this one.
Sure.
So sort of like he's manifesting some kind of bubble magic or something. I'm reading a hell of a lot into these cards. It's one of those things where it's a make it work moment. It's like, well, it could be that. It could be doing that.
Yeah. Oh, sure.
This one's the High Priestess. And I love the fact that part of her stem is a sort of hidden. And she's wearing this broad brimmed hat, sort of like she's always hiding under the hat. So like there's secret elements for me in this card. If you see anything that you want to comment about,
of course,
resemblance to a figure, let me know, because I mean, I'm only doing the most basic kind of stuff here. Here's the Empress, and I chose this one because it's sort of like a little bit on the rotund side, so it's could be pregnant. It
could be pregnant, but it's also very grounded. That would be a toadstool that is definitely connected to the earth, because it's not a thin, stem stalk.
Right.
So yeah, I don't know what that's called.
And the colors are a little similar here with that and the Emperor, because the Emperor, I mean, I sort of like the idea that she's bigger and she's taller and sort of more powerful. He's kind of squat and has a sort of a helmet-like hat, top. And they just look like a couple to me, the Empress and the Emperor.
I can see that, yes. It's like how old people or people who have been in relationships for a long time start to look alike.
Yeah.
I get that.
This is the Hierophant. And I have two of them in the deck that have white mushrooms. The other one, I think, is Death. And somehow the Hierophant felt like it needed to be white. I don't know whether they're usually in white robes or something. But it's sort of like he has a kind of a fancier headgear in a way than some of the others. And I didn't notice, actually, even until I got this, at the base, there's these 4 little, whatever they are. I'm going to call them pebbles, but I don't know if it's part of the plant or if they are stones or seeds or something, because it is gray. It's a different color. And I'm going to look at those as like the supplicants. So for me, the Hierophant is very powerful and big, a present compared to his supplicants that are tiny, sort of kneeling.
Okay. Tracy Ralph said, ready to burst on the Empress, bring new life to ideas. So, yeah. That's interesting.
Here are the Lovers. Also, I didn't put the in all the titles. It's just, I don't think it was needed, and it would have made the type smaller if I'd done that. And so I have a couple here. It's not too many. I have more than one toadstool in. One's a little smaller than the other, perhaps subservient. I don't know. They're sort of joined at the base. So there's a relationship there. I don't know whether you'd ignore that and just read it as the Lovers, or if you'd read that into the interpretation somehow.
Actually, I like how their stems are very, that's better to see it. I like how they are in union at the base, and then they each grow out, because that's one of the things that I consider about the Lovers card is there's a union of 2 individuals that make a third thing. And it's also about choice, depending upon how you read it. So if I'm picking one of these, which one do I pick? Because I could pick them separately.
Yeah, so. I also like what I just got from what you said, that when you start off in a relationship, you're very close together, but at some point you need to learn how to become a couple and yet still exert your independence or your freedom to do what you want to do within the relationship. So it's not like you're really growing apart, but there needs to be some separation to, it probably would be stagnant if they were fused the whole way through. Next, I have the Chariot. Now, I doubt you will find a blue mushroom with a gray stem, or is it purple? But and this one I put upside down. I did find one that was resting on its side that looked more like a wheel, but it was a different style of art, and I thought, I don't want to mix that into the deck.
Sure.
So this one, I gave this color. I'm not sure. I think I wanted a little change, and I did the blue and the purple. And purple for me is sort of thoughtful, and blue has a kind of a watery feel to me. So it's almost like he's riding in a boat, you know?
Yes.
And then also the stem almost looks like a thumb, as if someone's hitching for a ride.
Oh, yeah.
And then there's also a kind of like this little face with a little nub of a nose on it and kind of squinty eyes in the outlines. I don't know, like, I'm seeing all kinds of crazy stuff.
If you look at it too, it looks like it could be a leg or a foot.
So
the mushroom cap, and so
could be a shoe.
Also, it could be a shoe. So,
So next we have strength. This is an odd one because it has two figures. Well, in strength, we usually have a person and a lion. And this one, I'm not sure. There's a little opening there, as if like it's either an open mouth or somebody's taken a nip out of the mushroom. So I don't know which one's the lion and which one's the person, but it's an interesting relationship. And I think the involvement of these two implies a certain degree of strength and being able to work together,
And I think looking at that is, if we think about the RWS image where you have a lion and someone controlling the lion, in this one, which is it the lion that's the larger one that's covering and shielding the person, or is it vice versa? I think that could be very interesting, especially how you read it.
And I actually picked this sort of caramely yellow as a kind of a nod to the lion, because we always see it in that color. So, I mean, it's amazing considering how little options I had to shift these, that I really did try and pick one that I felt worked for that card.
Perfect.
Did tweak the direction and the coloring. So here we have the Hermit. Again, the colors of the Hermit always feel sort of like purple, and is this gray? I can't see in this light. It's either gray or beige, but that sort of purpley cap is, and it's sort of like knees out, like it's like slinking off or sulking off to go be alone somewhere.
Sure.
Maybe hide under that well-worn hood or hat to figure out what he wants to contemplate.
Yeah. And Kim Moon Whisper said, I keep thinking about the mushroom dance in the movie Fantasia.
Yeah.
And Emma the Gray just said, our brains make meaning. You're making it work, Robin.
Keep that mushroom dance in Fantasia in mind, because where I didn't change the art style in the majors, I did change it in both the elements and the courts.
Okay.
The courts look like characters from that film. So
interesting.
So next we have the Wheel of Fortune. This is a little trickier. And I'm going to do a make it work thing and say that the stem could be a handle cranking the wheel, and that the direction of those lines on the inside under the cap looks sort of like a spiral, or like it's spinning or turning the wheel.
Well, yes. And it does look like motion. Excuse me. It looks like motion. So absolutely.
Then this one we have Justice. This was sort of my least favorite, but I had kind of run out of options.
Oh, don't tell me that. Don't tell me that. Let me make my own opinion.
It's slightly different. It's sort of cleaner than the others. But I needed one with white polka dots on a red top, because I believe those are poisonous mushrooms, and they're very classic in old, I think it's Finnish or Danish cards or images of gnomes, you know, that they're often carrying this type of toadstool.
Uh-huh.
So, but also, again, like the high priestess, there's a little kind of cuff or collar halfway down the stem, which makes me think of, remember that little white collar Ruth Bader Ginsburg always wore?
Oh, yes. Yeah. Yeah. It's
And
iconic
also,
now.
well, when I saw this, I saw the motion of it like a gavel, but now I'm not seeing that so much. But I
No,
don't.
I can see that too, but I also like I'm glad you were talking about the poison aspect of it. Is that like a red cap or something?
Yeah,
Somebody who's watching will know it. So,
and also
yeah.
there's a little black outline there, which I
Mm-hmm.
almost prefer wasn't there, but I'm going to accept it as is, and see
Yeah.
that it's a fine line, and
Mm-hmm.
justice.
Oh, is a fine line.
So, you know, whether it's fair or not, it's kind of whichever way justice tends to roll in the verdict.
I think that's interesting. Yeah. Wow.
Now, the Hanged Man is just one that I put upside down. I figured that was the only way to hang it because I didn't have any droopy
No,
hangover.
that works. That works.
This is like the Chariot. I don't know, make what you will of the similarity between the Hangman and the Chariot. I'll have to think about that symbolically, but yeah, so that's that. Now here's Death, and I think he's a very handsome mushroom. It's sort of tempting to me. It's like he seems almost like he's flirting or something. You know, it's very well constructed, well made, and
Sure.
and the white and black is sort of this contrast of, you know, death being bones coming in darkness to take you away.
And then the sweeping away is sort of like if it's death rides in on a white horse that and the head is flipped back. Yeah, I see that.
It's sort of seductive. I mean, even the way that the cap is depicted, it almost looks somebody with a big white skirt that they're kind of, you know, swishing in, you know, like making an entrance. Like,
oh yeah,
you love my new dress, you know, come along. You know.
Yeah.
Now here we have Temperance, and there's so many details you have to keep track of. But when I put this on the card and did all the text and everything, I didn't pay attention to the cropping. And after I'd ordered it, I thought, oh damn, these letters are going to get chopped off. They didn't. Miraculous.
Beautiful.
It fits. Yeah. Now here we have a trio of bluish.
Oh, look at that. Yeah, I get it.
And I don't know. I mean, Temperance, I guess, is, you know, can be sort of a mixture of things, or weighing things out, or deciding, you know, one thing over another, what gets preference, what gets height, what goes before, falls. I mean, there's so much about Temperance.
I think that's a good toadstool for that. Kaz popped in and said about the death, side glancing out of a wide brimmed hat. And M.A. the Gray said, Googled fly agaric mushroom, Amanita muscaria, the little red white polka dots.
And I think it's poisonous. Well, probably a lot of them are, but that's, you know, the one that everybody thinks of as poison.
Yeah.
Which is odd because it's always usually paired up with some jolly little gnome. It's like, why would they be embracing poison? But
if you know gnomes, you want gnomes on your side. You don't want to tick a gnome off. So
okay, here we have the devil, and I picked red and purple. Again, I don't know why purple. It sort of went with the red somehow.
Let me just say, Robin, I love how it looks like the red is seeping down.
Yeah.
On the sides, hanging down. I think that's fascinating.
Well, we didn't have any with horns, but these all look almost like fangs or blood dripping or something. So I thought this could be the devil. He's very flashy in red, you know, and he might just bite out of you, you know.
Yes, but it's also very tempting.
And the line, the black line just above the red, almost looks like a a smile that's kind of almost like a smirky smile of the devil.
Yeah, exactly. Kaz is double duty lurking, and Emma the Grey said, also hallucinogenic, so explains the gnomes.
Okay. Now the tower was a little tricky. I only picked the tower because it was the tallest, skinniest one. I thought
Mm-hmm.
if any
That
of them
works.
collapse on their stem, it's going to be this one, the tower. And I'm
Yeah.
not sure why I made it green. I think just to shake up the color palette as I went
Sure.
through. But it's not really. I guess there could be more unexpected surprise in this because it looks sort of unassuming, just being this, plain green.
Well, if it's also that tall, I would imagine if something is walking through the forest, it's going to knock that tower. It's going to knock that down because it's so tall.
Yeah. Now this one,
Nice.
I think this might have been a different illustrator because they included a little X. This was perfect. This is the star, and even
Oh, that's nice.
style, they put like stars and a little moon underneath, so it had to be the star, right?
That's perfect. Yes, yes. Jamie, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path, is here. Hello, Jamie.
So this one has a little bit more of a connection to a representational deck than the others do.
Well, and I also like how it's looking up from below with it, so you can actually, with the other ones, you were looking at them straight across. This one you're looking down because we would look up to see the stars.
Yeah. And it's sort of, it like reveals something from the underside. Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Yeah. That's fun.
This one is the moon. And I picked this one because those spots reminded me of craters on the moon.
Absolutely. I see that too. Mm-hmm.
Then we have the sun. This is one of the few that was left over. It looks sort of like the Wheel of Fortune card, but I wanted something all yellow like the sun. So
yeah, you made it yellow, and that's good. That works.
The lines underneath don't go in a spiral; they actually fan out like
they radiate out. Yes.
Yeah. So, see what I mean, Gerald? You're on my case with these visually. That even though they aren't representational, there are elements in them that are close to.
Yes, and that's what the human brain does. We try to make patterns and we try to make it make sense.
Here's Judgment again with in another thoughtful one in purple with a big broad-brimmed hat that it may be peeking out from under. And again, some manner of collar or something that's hidden, like this aspect of I'm reserving judgment, or I'm judging you, but I'm not putting it right out there. You have to really kind of dig a little bit to figure me out.
I can see that, yes.
And then the last one in the majors is the world. I didn't have a circle, but I thought, well, this is like a little community all gathered together. It's like people around the world or different, aspects of bonding with the world,
That's fascinating. That's fun.
So that's the 22. Now we get into the bonus cards or the extra cards. This is a weird thing. I don't know why I did this even. I think I like the images and I didn't want to. People complain, oh, it's only 22 cards. I can't work with that. I don't know. But I don't know if they'll work any better with this. But
well, then they just don't buy the deck.
Yeah. I found. So next we're going to go with the element cards.
Okay.
So I picked one of each element. So we don't have 4 suits for every card, but we do have one suit of each element, or, well, you know what I mean. So this is a different style, but they're all the same style. This is Earth, which is green. And then this is Water, which is blue.
Yes.
These look more airbrushed in a way or something. They'll have spots on them. I don't know what that, or water droplets or something. Here's Fire, which is orange.
Nice.
And the last one, Air. What color is Air? I only had
Well,
2 choices left. It was yellow and purple, and I like the purple.
mhm, yeah. And I'm a person who, when I see air, it's a yellow. It's a very light yellow.
Well, maybe I
So
should have. I was a little afraid that yellow might be too close or confusing with the fire orange, but anyway, I went with purple. Purple feels to me almost like the ether or like spirit or something. Like, you know, you work with
mhm.
purple amethyst or something, and air felt to me, I don't know. I don't know why I did. Well, I actually had some time ago got a set of dice to divine with, and they were 14-sided die. And the color combination there I picked for air was a purple die. So,
Mhm.
did you have anything from chat you wanted to throw in before we go to the court?
Um, nope. Jamie is saying hi. One thing I will say, I'll save it for later.
Okay.
So, court cards.
Four cards left, the courts, and these are damn cute if I say so myself. Go back to Fantasia. These have faces on them. So here we have the page.
Oh, uh-huh. Very cute. Adorbs.
It's hard to see his mouth, but he's happy. He's
Mhm.
smiling. I think. My light's not very good here. No, it's more of a kind of an open faced curiosity with a straight across mouth. It's very hard to see.
That's fine. Yeah, if somebody's looking that closely.
But he's the littlest one, and it feels like somehow he's the youngest or the beginner.
Yeah, yeah.
Then we have the knight, which is the tallest of the group.
Okay.
And he
It's got
sort
the
of,
big hat on.
yeah, he got the big helmet or whatever, and he's
Mm-hmm.
pursing his lips a little bit. His eyes
Sure.
aren't completely open, but you know, I mean, make of that what you will. It's sort of, I think because he's leaning in and he's
Mm-hmm.
got the big hat, he's sort of more protected and maybe more apt to be a knight.
Sure.
Didn't
Moving
have as
quickly.
many choices of these groups that were.
It's okay.
So then here's the queen, and I love her
Ooh.
because she's kind of either got all her hair under there, or that's like a sort of a chef's
Wow.
for the cook's hat
Uh-huh.
for the kitchen or something, and she's happy.
Yes, yes, she is.
And then here's the king, and he's a little guy. I always feel like the kings are somehow less powerful than the queen. So he's a stout little guy, and he's not completely happy. And he's
He's
been
frumpy.
he's been well fed by the queen, and he's got a big cap on.
Yeah, Kim Moon Whisperer said yes, the little dancers.
So that is my deck, folks.
That's amazing. Thank you. Oh my gosh. That's great.
Now the
So
question is how we feel about non-representational and how we feel about adding the extra cards in as a workable idea.
I am okay with the non-representational. I'm much more comfortable with it because you have titled the cards.
Yeah.
I thought for a second there you hadn't titled them, and I was like going to be totally lost because I think then because you did not because you titled them, and then I can concentrate on what does the image, how does the image work with the other cards in the spread.
Yeah, I think
And
we
yeah,
make a connection between the text and the image. We kind of force a relationship.
of
So
course.
even if it is non-representational, when you see the word and then look at the image, you think, well, how is that like? Oh, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
like this, or maybe it's that, or
Mm-hmm.
maybe it makes no sense and you just go with the word. Like I said, it can be used that way too. Just since if you know how to read and you read
Uh-huh.
the labels, you don't even have to pay attention to the image if you don't want. It's just a pretty
Yeah.
back.
What are you open to some initial feedback when I am
Sure,
looking at these?
sure.
Are you just being polite, or do you not want me to say?
I'm absolutely open to all criticism, but I'll tell you, it might have to really twist my arm to change them because I'm so happy with them the way they are.
I can tell you're happy with them. Kim said a fun deck that is a perfect connection to you, Robin.
Well, then the question is, do I just keep it for me, or do I make it available if somebody else wants it or identifies with it?
You do not keep it to yourself. You make it available so that if I might be interested in purchasing it. So I have a couple of thoughts.
Yeah.
One, what do you think about adding a fifth element of spirit or ether?
I did think about that because there was one more of those cards and it was a yellow one. But I thought somehow it might throw the system out a little bit because, well, I still don't know how they'll be used, but I figure people know tarot, they know 4 elements. So if I got 4, they may know what to do with that. But with a 5th card, are they going to know what to do with the spirit?
Yes. Well, let me rephrase that. I will know what to do with the spirit. Although there's only 4 suits in a there's 4 suits in the minor of a traditional tarot deck.
Yeah.
The spirit shows up in multiple ways. Catching up on chat, Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft said, it's a lovely deck, Robin. I'm so happy for you. Early Ritual said, I think you need to make it available. Smiley face. And Kim Moon Whisperer said, switch the air to yellow and spirit to purple.
Mm-hmm.
And Early Ritual agreed with that. So that's what I would do because I see purple as spirit. Now, if there's no spirit card in there, I'm okay with it being purple for air.
Well, and the other element is, depending on the size of the spread you do, more than one element card or court card could show up in the spread. I mean, it's not too likely, but if you had all 4 elements showed up in your spread, to me, that would be the spirit. It would be earth, air, fire, and water all combined into one. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if it would be spirit or not, but it would be a unity of those things, which for me kind of is the soul of the spirit of something.
Yeah. And I'm just tossing the ideas out there because and I think, because I hope we're going to do like a simple 3-card spread or something. Yeah. I would love to do that. The other thing is, what do you think about, and I'm just tossing this out there, having, making 10 cards, 1 through 10, because then you could actually, it would add 10 more cards to the deck.
Yeah.
But then it could be like thinking about, it could be like what you're doing is you're boiling down the traditional minor arcana. Yeah. You have the court cards, you have ace through 10, and then you have the suit.
Mm-hmm. I actually did think about that, but I sort of felt like if I was going to add numbers 1 through 10, it complicates it further. And then what's keeping me from going all the way to 78?
Well, yes.
I also thought if we want a sequence of 1 to 10, why not use the courts for that? You have a beginning with the page, an ending with the king, and then the knight and the queen are somewhere in that range in the middle, which could lean towards that progression or that evolution from 1 to 10.
Yeah. Well, and I was actually thinking you pick a toadstool that you like, and on the ace you put a big, you do it like the Marseille. But you have for the ace you have a big one, and then for the 2 you actually have 2, and then you put 3, and then you just copy it and you
Yeah,
change the size.
believe it or not,
So
I actually thought of that too. I've thought about a lot of things in this deck. I was afraid, since they're tiny cards already, that when we get up to 10 pips on a card, they're going to be so small that they kind of take away from that flashiness of just one big image on a little card.
but yes, and because you're putting them on black and they're a bright color, if you have 10 of them, it's like the 10, it's like you're living with the decisions that you've made, and it feels overwhelming.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just a thought. It's just a thought.
And I also thought of putting one toadstool on 10 different cards and having just the number large at the bottom in white, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Mm-hmm.
But then I thought people are going to complain that there's no variety in the imagery with just the numbers.
Yes.
And I have a similar feeling about the way I look at Marseille decks, that it sort of like gets tedious or boring. Even if they are arranged, it's still the same image over and over. And so I have thought about all these things, but I am welcome to your criticism. If you want to throw even nasty critiques at me, or tear it apart, I'm open to that too, because we learn stuff.
No, I don't have any of criticisms like that, because I would want to actually see them in action. I like the addition of the fifth element, because then, as a reader, if I didn't want to use the element of spirit or ether, then I leave it out. And if I didn't want to read with the ace through 10, I leave those out. It gives me a variety.
Well, another thing, if you want that fifth element, you could always use one of the other cards.
You're right.
The fifth element,
You are absolutely right. And so the stuff that I'm talking about, it adds 11 cards to it.
Yeah.
And
the thing I'm a little worried about at this point is I worked so hard to get it right that if I had to use a couple different programs to resize everything and make sure that the text was just right. And if I get the text wrong on that one card, like it's too high or too low, then it's going to bug the crap out of me,
Of course. Well, and who says you have to even number the ace through the 10? You just put one toadstool on it.
Yeah.
And then it can be, you could have it be the same, or you could have, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be the same toadstool. It could be, one toadstool, and then the two could be different toadstools. And then that way you're not needing to deal with the font. But I still like it on the black. I think that's a brilliant idea.
I have a little trouble too, because like I said, all of these in the major were a specific art style. The ones in the quartz and the elements also were two different styles.
Sure.
What was left was none of those. So I would have to go to a completely different art style for the others.
Okay. What about
one? And I don't know if I want to do that.
What about this? Then you just you shrink down what you used for the one for the magician. You shrink that down, and that's your one. And then you put two of the twos on there, three of the threes, four of the fours, and so on.
Yeah, that's an idea. Yeah.
And then that way, it's just changing the size of the copying and pasting, using the size of the toadstool without necessarily needing to add a font. Because as a reader, sometimes I forget to remember the minor. The majors are reflected in the minors, and the minors are reflected in the majors.
Mm-hmm.
So if I have the two of cups, I need to also remember that it could be the high priestess, as well, because it's a number 2 also.
I want to ask you, I know that I'm really honored that Jane and you have been doing these sessions. Well, she's also been doing some without you, where she's been using my other major deck, the Open Face. Now, you seem very comfortable at this point working with that. I felt like when we first introduced it, we were like, I don't know about majors only. But the thing is, she uses them different than other people do. She uses it as an overall kind of summation or clarifier or something. Have you tried using them to read with other than in that fashion?
Not yet. Not yet.
Because I'm curious. I still am, a major promoter, not only of my decks, but of
majors only
decks and other people getting a full realm of use out of them. In fact, I'm going to do a little series with Ben on we're calling it Major Decisions, I think. And it's going to be 4 sessions, and we're going to go through each suit. So we're going to go through one through the ace through the king of each suit. And then we're going to try to subsume them. I don't know if that's the right word. Absorb them into majors.
Into the majors.
So, and it's going to be a play along game for, everybody in the chat. I'll list it at some point. And so I don't know which suit we're going to do first, but you'll have all your majors laid out so you can look at them if you want to play along. Go through a card at a time, and he and I will pick which major we think works.
That's fun.
That card. And see what people in the chat think. And we'll see if it goes, very well under a number of different cards, or if more people tend to find it gravitates towards, one of them.
Yeah.
But now, in terms of...
Joan B is here. Hello, Joan B. I have to give myself some credit because Kaz told me that was a stroke of genius to use the Toadstool on the magician for the ace, 2 of the ones for the 2. I'm just saying.
Okay.
Calla Lizzie says she thinks that the idea that you're having there with that with Ben sounds fun.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I had actually introduced it some time ago for people to do as an exercise on their own, but I like the idea of doing it with a guest and then
of course,
chat way in and see where we fall on that.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of reading, I hope we're at 8:59.
You're fine. We're good. Keep going. Yes, keep going. Keep going. I'm good.
So we'll try a reading, but now the question is, how do we go about the reading? Do I shuffle all the cards together, or do I separate it into 3 groups, which makes it a little difficult to shuffle a deck of 4 cards?
I personally would shuffle them all together.
Yeah, me too.
I wouldn't separate them out. I mean, I might, if there were ace through 10, I would keep the I might, depending upon the reading, Robin, I might keep the major separate and the element and the ace through 10 if you do that, and then the court cards. But with the small number, I'd mix them all together.
Okay. No, I mean, I know very well how to read with majors. It's the others I'm not sure what that's going to do. And also I'm debating, we'll try mixing them in, but also I guess it depends on the reading too, what the question happens to be like. If I have a question that I want to ask about that has to do with an earth element, maybe I just want to stick the earth card across the top of the majors like a significator.
Sure.
Or if I have something that I want to talk about my mother, I might pick the queen, as a, but I don't really use significators that way. I put them in the deck and then they come up or they don't, within.
Yes.
So for right now, I'm going to shuffle them in and mix them all in, and we'll see what happens. Now, should we go with a question, or should we just do a general reading and see what happens first?
I always think a question is helpful, so I'm wondering if, let's see, what would that question be?
Well, my big question is always, what do you have to tell me, or what do I need to know? Maybe what do I need to know about working with this deck? That
I
might
think
be.
that sounds like a good idea.
No, I don't have a little. I have somewhere a little stand that I can hold them up, but I didn't prepare. I don't know where I put it. But these are pretty small. I think I probably can hold the three
Mm-hmm.
spread in one hand. Um, I love shuffling little cards overhand.
Yes. Oh yeah. Yeah. Calla Lizzie said, somehow they always come up when they're stuck into the deck, the significators.
When you, I think you got the smaller version of the open face. Do you
Mm-hmm.
think that that works okay for you, or do you think it would be better if you had tarot size for that particular deck?
It works fine for me.
Yeah.
And the personal thing that I would have is I want it on linen, but that's just me.
Okay. Well, that could
Um,
maybe be done. I'll think about that. I have it plastic and I have it on a regular card, but I like the regular card
yeah,
better.
yeah.
I love that one because it makes me feel like hotel bars of little soap.
Oh yeah,
Kind of
yeah.
ivory colored, like little tiny bridge size bar of soap you get when you stay over at a
Yes.
hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's see what happens here. Ah, well,
All the things that you're not supposed to do when you're reading tarot. Ooh. Oh. Mm.
let me try and get my fingers in a position that I can do this. I guess I need two hands.
You can hold them up at one at a time. I mean, which one came up first? The Fool, the High Priestess, and then the Hanged Man? Or
Yeah,
was it the opposite way? Okay, Fool.
first.
Huh.
Now, I always read my three spreads from the middle out.
Okay, and how would you read that?
So for me, the high priestess is the important one in the question. Sort of like, how do I read this? Well, you go intuitively. And then the
Mm-hmm.
fool is sort of the beginner's approach to it. The hanged man is maybe a little bit more cautious or take a little more time to gain perspective on using this deck. We didn't get any of the weird cards in this spread, so that made our job a little harder. But
Well,
it's
and I would read it from left to right. So the Fool looks, a little jaunty, moving out, then turns into the High Priestess, we're standing tall, and then actually falls over, as the hanged man. So it's a nice progression, because sometimes you need to be upside down in order to be fulfilled.
uh-huh.
So
So I'm not sure if that's your reading for answering this question or how you might put that
well,
into a
okay.
sentence or something like how best to use this deck. I mean, this
I
didn't
would
really tell
Okay,
me.
how best to use that deck would um be courageous, or just go forward and
Yeah,
understand intuitively how to read it, and it's going to alter your perspective
yeah,
and alter the way you're looking at using this deck. And part of me says, Robin, it's going to be every reading that you're doing
yeah.
with it.
Mine is similar. Mine is go in with eyes wide open and be full of adventure. When you think you've decided on how best to read it and you've figured it out, don't get too set on that. Stand on your head, give it another look, and think about using it a different way. Open yourself up.
Uh-huh.
Don't pin yourself down to a system or a way to read this. Think about multiple ways to use or read it.
Yeah, don't limit yourself.
Let
Don't
me
limit
pull.
yourself.
Oh, and then the additional card was if I pull one more for clarification, was justice.
Well, and then that one could certainly be as if we're going, where the hanged man turns us upside down. Justice actually leans over and then thinks about what's going on before moving on to the next thing.
Mm-hmm. How do you distinguish between justice and temperance? Because both of them have an element of balance to them for me.
I think justice to me feels very much like it's the right and wrong in the daily work, and temperance is much more fluid. It's about transforming things.
Okay.
Is how I see it.
Let's do another one. I'm hoping we can come up with
Absolutely.
One cards. Should we ask someone for a question, or do you have a question? I don't know if we weeded out our chat room.
No, there's 11 people still watching. So for those of you who are there, do you have a question that you want us to practice on? This is hashtag for entertainment purposes only. I'll watch it. Lizzie said justice for clarification.
Okay.
So,
do you have a question, maybe personally?
Not that I haven't had people answer about it before. I love the idea of asking if you should add the ace through 10 and the spirit.
Well, then if I do that, should it be a 3-card spread or just a yes and no 1 card?
I would say it could be a 3-card spread, and the first card is the question, and then the next two, if it's okay, first one is the question. If it's yes, then this. If it's no, then this.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'm probably not going to read it that way, but you will. You can.
But you're going to read. I mean, and that's the beauty of it.
Oh my God.
Okay, show me the first one. First card.
First one, the Emperor.
Okay, so that is the standing question of, okay, I have created this structure. You've created the structure, and emperors are willing to adjust if they have the right information. So,
card 2,
which is if yes, then it's the big picture judgment, which is okay. So the emperor and judgment work nicely together. So it's going to take a judgment for you as the creator to be willing to do it, but also then it allows the reader, me, to use my judgment on, do I keep those cards in for each reading or do I take them out? And then what's the third card?
The Lovers.
Well, then if the answer is no, it already works, Robin. You don't have to. I mean, it's a no of no because it's working fine now.
Well, okay. The way I read it, again, from the center, is judgment. Okay, I'm going to have to be the one to make the judgment call on this.
Yep.
I'm the Emperor. I always read him as a stubborn old fool. And so I'm pretty stubborn and set in my ways about this. I kind of want to leave it alone. However, the Lover's card for me is a choice depending on how I might work with the community on this deck. Like, do I want to stick to my guns and sit on my throne like an emperor? Or do I want to be more accommodating to other people's ways of thinking or the community, how they might best use it? But ultimately, I'm the one that's going to have to make that judgment.
Yes, because you as the emperor, you're the one who has to decide, are you going to have trusted resources to influence your decision making or not?
Yeah.
And one is not better than the other. It just is.
Yeah.
So.
Well, we're not getting those weird cards, and I don't know. Maybe I need a bigger spread. So I do a 5-card spread.
Yeah. Well, Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft actually put in a question in the chat.
Okay.
Will Baba Vanga's prediction of alien invasion in 2022 come true?
Well, that's a yes, no. Right.
Well, it is a yes, no. So you could do, I don't know.
Oh my. Oh my. Oh Lordy.
Uh-oh, you heard it here first, people.
Yeah, no, I'm just I'm just doing what you said don't do. Don't act like a woman in a tent under a veil. It's well, the center card is the Hierophant, which for me means sources with more information will reveal themselves to us. The first card is the Chariot, which for me says things are moving, things are happening. So things are happening, and we're going to find out more information as things are moving along. The last card is Death, which looks a little like a flying saucer with a landing leg. So, and is the element of change. So things are going to change.
Okay, so show me the first card again.
But the last 2 cards are white, so I think that's this thing of purity, and so like that to me is a good thing. If it's exposed somehow, it's going to be done in a way that's going to be not frightening or scary. It's going to be a positive thing. The first one was the Chariot.
Well, of course, the Chariot means that yes, the invasion is going to happen.
Okay.
Something's coming in. And then they're okay. So the aliens will actually infect the higher ups and the authority figures, the ones who are making the decisions.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have Death. Slowly but surely, the weaklings will be weeded out.
Okay.
So, I mean, just saying, Regina, that sounds like the Tuckbox Rage graphic novel back from the mid '90s, where it was like going, it was just crazy.
I'm gonna cheat a little bit because we could be doing this forever and not get the extra cards. So I'm just gonna put some in there and see. I'm going to draw until I get some, and we'll do it as a.
Well, okay. See, here's an interesting idea: is you could use those court cards or the spirit cards as significators, and then you could read it like Lenormand. You could actually shuffle those in, and then you turn over cards until you find that significator, and then you read the cards on either side of that.
Good idea. Let's do that.
And yes, Joan B., Robin did create this Toadstool deck, and Robin has just shown us the deck. He's done a walkthrough of it. I've given him some suggestions, and it's a majors only deck plus 4 elements and plus 4 court cards. And so, Nancy Acrone's Intuition is here. Hello, Nancy.
Hi, Nancy. Okay. Now, do you want them in the order sequence? Yes.
Yes, please.
First card is the Magician.
Okay. And what's the question? Are we reading that same question again?
I don't know what the question is, or if it's just a general reading.
Okay.
You can decide, I guess. So first, I guess you need to know all 3, really. First is a Magician, and it's sandwiched between the Queen and the Sun.
So it went Magician, Queen, Sun, or it went Queen, Magician, Sun?
Magician, Queen, Sun.
Okay.
Except the way I read it from the center. So I will read it Queen, Magician, Sun, but you read it.
Okay. I'll read it left to right. So the Magician visits the Queen, and actually helps enlighten her, helping her have wise choices. So I think if it's the person in the center is the querent, the queen, she's pretty enlightened. However, she's the minor arcana. She's the court card associated with the high priestess. And a magician and a high priestess work well together because the magician has the tools. The high priestess knows how to
queen.
use the tools.
It's the
The
queen.
queen, right. It's the, okay, so, but
Are you equating a queen with a high priestess? It could be.
I do see the queen as the minor high priestess. So the magician and the queen work well together to be enlightened.
Yeah, I think in a general reading for me, well, the queen is in the middle, but it's also the only figure in this spread. So for me, it's how to approach reading, or how to approach success with your reading. That's the message I'm getting. So the queen is the compassionate one, the thoughtful one. The magician, of course, is the one with the skills. So in order to make those skills reach a sort of a fulfilling end, which is the sun, you need to incorporate compassion into the reading. So there's this working relationship between skills and compassion that make for a successful read. That's the way I read those three.
Very nice. Yeah. Yeah.
Let me try another one, see if I can find one, get one with a an element in it. Oh, this will be interesting. Oh no, sorry, I thought it was two elements.
Oh,
it's
and what were you thinking about while you were shuffling?
I wasn't. I'm just using these as experimental reading,
seeing how they play off of each other.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes.
And I generally, when I don't have anything to ask, it's my always open question is, well, I don't have anything to ask, but what have you got to tell me? So, and then I usually find some way to relate it to my life or experience anyway. So here we have the Emperor, Fire, and the Moon.
Emperor, Fire, and the Moon. Okay. Wow. Okay. It's I would say the Emperor needs to get a little bit of passion going under the full moon. Bum chicka bow wow.
Yeah,
that's what I'm thinking.
This one I don't read from the center out. This one, and I think you have to be malleable in reading at all times, even if you have a system like I usually do. I tend to do like open readings. So sometimes one card takes precedence over your system. I mean, fire is at the core of this, but okay, so passion, inspiration is at the core of this, but basically the Emperor needs to delve into his passions or his desires. That's the wrong word, but he really needs to lean into his passions when it comes to reading, and also to look for hidden meanings, things in the moon that aren't obvious, that might be masked by other things. You've got fire in the moon, and we see the sun, which is fire, its light is reflected off of the moon. So there's a relationship there between sun and moon, even if it's not a sun, it's still fire in the moon.
I like how as the Emperor is sort of flat and the fire is much more straight up.
Yeah, it's almost like an arrow.
And then the moon is sort of like this. So
yeah, maybe the Emperor needs to take a rocket to the moon or look up at the moon and be more thoughtful about what is hidden by the moon, or what it sees in those
or something
on the moon, or, you know,
Yeah.
what is the moon keeping you from that's tied up in your passion?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that's it's. I think it's going to take. I think it's a. I like the addition of the court cards and the suits.
I
I would encourage you to consider adding the fifth suit and perhaps 10 the 10 cards. It's definitely if you make it available, please, I mean, make it available. um because it could be a very nice could be a nice card as a supplement to maybe some oracle cards that
uh-huh.
are fey or enchantment. I was thinking like the Forest of Enchantment Tarot. You had what, the Fey Oracle that you were talking about from Rockpool,
Forest Fay.
Forest Fey.
Yeah.
It could certainly do that, and it's just like any. You just have to remember that what it could add to it.
Well, no
So
matter what I do, if I put it out there and people buy it, I'll be really curious to see how they choose to use it.
yes,
Particularly someone like Jane, who chose to use the open face in a way that I hadn't considered before.
uh-huh.
So that's interesting to me, and it's sort of a learning thing.
Well, perfect. Yeah.
I suspect that this might work better for me in larger spreads than just a 3 card, because then I have more chance for more elements and courts to show up in the spread.
Yes. My thing is with just 20
30, the
with
30 card.
30 cards,
Yeah.
you're going to get, of course, majors, mostly majors,
Yeah.
because you have 22 majors and then 8 non-majors, which is why if you add 10 more to that, it could sort of change the percentage and the opportunity.
Well, another possibility is to deal with them separately. Like keep the majors together, and then either shuffle the 8 together, or 4 and 4. Just pick, one out of each, overarching the major reading in some
Sure.
fashion,
Yeah.
which we didn't try. So I don't know if we'd have
Yeah.
one element and one court over all the majors in the spread, or if we have multiples of those two together. I mean, there you get into this almost like flip of a coin sort of thing, because you have more options. And you put a different slant on it too. Like if you're talking about courts, it's sort of like a hierarchy in how you read the spread, maybe, or relationships. Or if you're doing the elements, how it relates to, a specific suit or a specific element.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how to do that. It's going to be a learning process, I think.
Yeah. Joan B said, I like the idea of basically an oracle deck with 22 tarot majors included. And Calla Lizzie said, Robin, throw a 5-card spread down.
Okay.
If we can do that, this will be the last thing, because I need to eat. You want to do a reading for Jeffrey's birthday? We're going away on a trip.
Okay.
You want to throw some cards down for that?
Yeah. Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Whose idea was this trip? Yours, or did you kind of do it together?
It's kind of our together.
Okay. I'm going to say, and this isn't, well, I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't say. First card is the Knight.
Movement, travel.
Movement. Second one's Magician, which is, I say, magic to make the travel happen. The next one is the Queen at the center of the spread. Then we have Justice. And then the last one is the Star, which is very nice.
Aw. Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to decide which of you is the queen and which is the knight, or maybe.
Well, since it's his birthday, he can be the queen. He can be the center card.
Yeah. I didn't initially think so, but I think since I don't know why, maybe just because I know you better, I'm feeling like you're the magician making this movement happen.
Mm.
So it's like the knight is moving forward with the skills of the. Well, it's actually could be both of you in each card. The knight is both of you traveling forward, using all the things that you've got in your toolbox to make that movement happen. The queen, for me, is sort of pleasing someone, pleasing your partner. So each of you are trying to please each other and having a good time on this trip.
Sure.
This card, I'm not sure. Maybe the justice might be the scale shift, like you each have slightly different priorities about what you want to happen on the trip. Maybe you're not on completely equal footing, which makes sense. You're two different individuals. The Star is ultimately, it's going to be hopefully wish fulfilling and a wonderful trip.
Yeah, that's lovely. Gosh. So, yeah, we're going to my sister's house, and we will be doing some quilting. So you can also think about that as the creative process. And with Justice, as you're quilting, you have to make these choices. You have to choose between several options for the best result.
Well, in that spread, I'm thinking of the queen as your sister. So you and your fellow knight are making the magic happen, the quilting process at your sister's place. Now, does your sister throw a wrench into the works with Justice? Is she making certain demands or not leaving you alone to do what you want to do? Or is she adding some element that skews the balance a little or something? Ultimately, I think it's still going to end up with the Star a happy.
Sounds like a great trip.
Yeah. Well, I'm thrilled that you all could share this with me and my excitement, and I can't wait to do more with this deck. And I don't know. I may consult it as to sit on this a few days and decide whether to change it or not, or I may just impatience may overtake me, and I may just jump right on MPC tonight and put it in my store. So,
and here's the thing: is there's no reason you couldn't just put it in your store, but then add the
like another edition with an expanded edition or something.
Yeah, yes. On linen. I don't even know if it's available, if the domino is available in a linen.
I think I could do the linen, but it wouldn't be glossy. But that's, people don't like gloss. I don't know how black on linen actually is. The Sasurabito black linen.
Sasurabito has a lot of black in it, yes.
And is that on linen stock? I think it might be.
Yes, it's not glossy, but it's still lovely.
I'll have a look at that. Because with linen, you get that little weird, fabric grid on it, and that's another choice. And I'm just some people don't like that too. I like it when it makes it seem antique-y, it's like antique style images, but also you can get that warp and weft kind of grid over your images.
Yes. So a few people in chat have typed in Regina Tarot and Witch Wirecraft has said #quilting video from the stash. She wants me to do a quilting video. And Emma the Gray said, well, it looks great, Robin. Be sure to let us know if you pop it into the store. And Joan B said, yes, I'd watch a quilting video. Cal Leslie is LOL linen. And Regina high fives Joan because of the quilting video. Emma the Gray says, yes, the mini is on linen. And so
if you do a quilting video, will you show just Jeffrey's hands needling or not even his hands?
I think the most you're going to see of Jeffrey, or the most you're going to get of Jeffrey is his voice.
Uh-huh.
So
Not even his quilted project.
Oh, you may get pictures of his quilted project, but you will not get him. And Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft says, "Congratulations, Robin, and happy birthday, Jeffrey."
Yes, happy birthday. How does everybody feel about the format, the tall, skinny little cards? Does anybody have any closing thoughts on that? Obviously, the glossy is not a hit with everybody but me, but
No, I mean the glossy is fine. The glossy's fine, Robin, just because it's like we all have a preference. It's like bordered or borderless.
yeah.
It's
Well,
it's that idea.
the other deck I got is an RWS that's psychedelic. It's referred to as the Bollywood Tarot.
Oh my.
It looks sort of intriguing online, but in person, the non-glossy looks kind of dull, and the line work isn't particularly sharp.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and that's something to consider, because if it's your vision, Robin, and if the gloss is what makes you happy, then go with what makes you happy.
I
And
told you before that the two things that inspired me were these two decks, and they're both glossy. And I also think that the gloss enhances the black, but
and it probably does. It probably does. Ma the Gray said, "I love the shape and the compactness." Calla Lizzie said, "I like the tall, skinny as a format. Always like that shape." And Joan B said, "I love it when Gerald reads the chat like a play-by-play." And Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft said, "I love those tall, skinny cards." I would say, from those of us who are watching now and people who will watch this back later, they need to comment, do they like the tall, skinny format?
Yeah.
So
Originally,
that's
I
an
was going to do
opportunity.
them bridge size, and then I thought, well, domino size. This is what I've been wanting. I wish MPC had larger cards in a tall, skinny format, but I couldn't find them in the choices.
Yeah, no.
I'm happy with it.
I think that's great. And I am, Robin, you pick what you want in the finish that makes you happy.
Yeah.
Because I think that's a great thing to do. So,
well, and also there's a whole world out there of people. My channel is a big one for encouraging others to create their own decks. So if this has inspired you at all to do your own using this new format or something, run with it. I'd be happy to see what you come up with.
Yeah. Nancy, a Crohn's Intuition, said, "The tall, skinny cards, hearts." And Joan B says, "Yes, I like the tall, skinny card shape. Reminds me of some fancy playing cards that I have." And that's the thing, Robin, also think about it these are, you're not necessarily going to find this shape in a lot of cards or in a lot of decks. And this just makes it even more special.
Yeah.
It also isn't going to take up a lot of space when you're doing a large reading.
I love it as a pocket-sized travel deck. A lot of times, even a 78 card deck, when it's a mini, bulges in my shoulder bag or doesn't fit in a pocket so well. So when it's majors only, it really works great as a little pocket travel deck.
I still like the idea of adding the fifth element of spirit, and I also like the ace through the 1 through 10.
How do you feel about the back, since it's a little bit different artwork? It's a little more refined than the other.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine.
It was a bigger image, so I cropped it in this particular positioning. I wanted the red star on it. I sort of like that idea, that sort of hopefulness of the element to the deck.
Yes. And you don't have to worry about the reversal, because Joan B said, "Oh, that's pretty," because Joan hadn't seen the back before. And you don't have to worry about reversals. And besides, if you read if you read reversals, you're not reading the back of the card, so it doesn't matter. So
yeah, I never think about that anyway. And when people say, "Oh, there's no reversals," well, for God's sakes, just ignore the back when you're shuffling, and then you're only reading the front anyway.
yes,
You read reversals. Why do the backs have to be the same? They think,
yeah,
"Oh, I see one upside down, then I won't use that. I'll keep shuffling." I don't
yeah,
work that way. In fact, I don't
yeah,
even look at the cards when I shuffle. Then I can't tell if it's reversed or not. But
exactly. Lizzie likes the back, so I think you have a winner here, and you get the opportunity to and this is pretty great. And Jamie said this is pretty great. I'd like to see the fifth suit. Do you mean the fifth suit or the fifth
the fifth element.
element?
It's a movie. You can watch it whenever you want. The Fifth Element.
It's a great movie if
Yeah,
you think about it.
yeah,
It's a fascinating movie. It's one of my favorites.
yeah.
It's just the whole concept is so exciting. And Jamie said, Wandering Mountain Bardic Path said element, LOL. She meant the fifth element.
Yeah, yeah.
And so just, yeah. And and by the way, I have not created a deck. I have not used MPC. So MP3. Remember MP3s?
Yep.
But I don't know what it takes to do that. So but I do have to say I like the idea of using the mushroom from the magician and slapping it on the same card, and using the 2 from the high priestess, slapping it on the card. But because that, for me, that would allow that, and that's just me. This is, again, not endorsed by anybody but me. It would give me more options because I totally like that.
Let me ask you that. Put it to you this way: I put these extra cards in here to add a sort of extra element to it, but they are different than the other cards' art style. The deck as it is right now, would you prefer it if it were only the major 22 and not the other cards? Or would you prefer it as it is with these extra cards?
Robin, I think you have such a discerning eye. I didn't really notice a significant difference between the majors and.
No, I'm talking about usage wise. Would you find it easier or more comfortable to use a 22 card deck than a 22 plus 4 plus 4 deck?
I like it as it is.
Okay.
With
Because what I'm doing is
element.
I'm really challenging you guys to come up with a way to use these extra cards. But basically I'm promoting major arcana decks. So
I understand that. I mean, it is. I know you want everybody to start using major arcana decks, and we can do that. But if you're pushing us because you've added the 4 elements, not 5, maybe you could add the 5th element, and the court cards, which makes it different than a majors only.
Yeah.
You get that. I get that. I can use it as a majors only because I can take those cards out. But having the flexibility is helpful.
Yeah, when you use a deck that comes with bonus cards or extra cards, do you take those out or do you use them in?
I read what the creator has said about that, and then more often than not, I'm leaving them in.
Okay.
So, and that's just me. I leave the bonus cards in. I will take them out if they make no sense to me at all. If, I have these beautiful images and it's like Joan B says, I use extra cards. I love them. And I was just using the Curious Travels tarot earlier today when I was reading with Joan the Seeker Tarot. And there's the Traveler card in there, and when it came up the last time I read with her, I just looked at the card and used that to for me. I read it intuitively. Well, I had to read them intuitively because there is no guidebook for the creative traveler.
Well, for people that didn't come in at the beginning, this is my guidebook.
I love this.
One card, and you tell me if this is helpful to you or if it's a big fuck you. I'd say 22 major arcana, 4 element cards, 4 court cards to combine and use as you see fit.
It's completely the temperance card. I love it. It's you do it, you do however the hell you want. Okay, this just in. Joan B said, I think I would like the challenge of extra cards. It gives me some creative freedom in my tarot practice. Regina's Tarot and Wirecraft is suggesting that everybody get out your masking tape to construct Mila, I'm going to pronounce Jovanich, costume from The Fifth Element. And Joan B said, I use extra cards, love them. M.A. the Gray says, I usually leave them in unless it's something like 8 devil variants. I will also do the same because if I get multiple lovers cards, I'll leave the lovers cards in all 3 of the lovers cards in. But it's like the Alley Man Tarot. I did not need 37 versions of the devil or death. Let's see.
Let me ask something to the people in the chat that are still here. If you're considering the possibility of working with this system, you all have tarot decks at home. This is what I suggest you give a try. Take one of your tarot decks that you like, pull all the majors out, pull the aces of all 4 suits out, and pull the courts from one suit of your choice. That way you basically have what I have here. You've got a majors only. You've got 1 suit element. I suggested the ace, but it could be any card as long as it's a different suit. And then the courts, you have page through king. You're just relying in those 8 cards on the suit and the court. So try that out. Put the rest of the cards aside, and then shuffle these together and see how you can work with those. See if fine, you can't work with it at all, then maybe this is not the deck for you, but there might be a challenge to yourself to give that a try.
Right. And Wandering Mountain Bardic Path, Jamie says, Robin, you know what I'd say about that guide card. I'd use it as something else.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And Joan B says, I'll try it tomorrow, Robin. Curious to see how it works.
Yeah, well, there's your 5th element.
I'm not going to try that because I'm waiting for this deck to be available.
Okay.
Thank you, Jamie. Jamie said perfect, Gerald. But I'm also waiting for the 2nd edition of it. Where, the ace through the 10 and then the 5th element.
Don't hold your breath, honey.
Yeah, I know. Can you imagine Tara Sachet dressed up as that character from the 5th element? Can you see that? That is a lot of orange gaffer tape.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, I'm thinking of the blue diva. Sorry. That's a much harder costume.
Well, yeah. And Ange is here, Tiny Trinkets and Tarot. Hello, Ange.
Go back to rewind to the beginning.
And Joan B says, because Joan B said after I said the cards as it is, but I will wait for the 5th element and the ace through the 10. And Joan B said in linen. So just saying, because I'll tell you, Robin, if I get it in linen with the ace through the 10, Hashtag I'm not pressuring you. Hashtag do whatever the hell you want. Hashtag tell me to go F myself. Hashtag mind my own business. I'm totally going to be telling people about it.
You know what? I kind of learned my lesson once before. My first deck was majors only, and I had people complaining, oh, if it were only 78 cards, because I don't buy majors only. If you make a 78 card deck, I will buy it. And from that pressure, I made a 78 card deck, and I
It
think
hasn't
I
sold, has it?
2 copies.
Yeah.
And the person who swore they'd buy it didn't buy it. And so I learned my lesson. Can't bend over backwards for other people, to accommodate them. I've done that with music too, tried to change styles on my music that I thought would be more popular. When I ignored it all and went my own way, regardless if I thought anyone was going to buy it or not, they loved it because that was true to me,
Yes. And I want to be clear. Okay, Jamie has said, oh, linen, because me and Jamie. But I will, Robin, and I mean this genuinely. If it doesn't feel right to you to add a 5th element or an ace through 10, then don't do it.
Yeah.
Because as somebody who appreciates people who spend time and create a tarot deck, if your energy is not affirming while you create it and you're not pleased with it, I'm going to have an issue using it.
Yeah.
So, but you invited me here for my opinion. And
I'm thrilled that everybody put their opinions in, and that I have a better sense now that if I want to sell it, that certain people won't buy it, but I'll know why, which is great, rather than just, I wonder why they don't buy this deck or why they're not interested in this deck. Now I will know why, and that's fine. And also, I'm not always a fan of glossy decks, but I have about 2 or 3 probably in my collection, and I like them specifically because of that. And other decks just don't work that way. And my favorite is actually the ones with a sheen. And the only ones I like in linen are the ones that look like antique facsimiles or something.
Yeah. And Joan B said the black background might really might not come out great on linen too. And
well, these feel stiffer because of the extra lamination from the glossy. I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyway, thank you to everybody. I kept Gerald way past almost near an hour past.
Almost an hour, yeah. But
thank you so much for helping.
Thank you.
And for piloting the chat room for me, and
you're welcome.
And gathering all these opinions. It's great, and sharing in my enthusiasm and excitement over this.
It's so great to see you talk about this and be excited. I mean, that's addictive. And I would say if you do decide to release it in whatever form, high gloss, black, 5 elements and whatever, I'll probably get it, and I would be interested in maybe having somebody else and you on to do a deck casual.
See, now I would probably be more apt to change it if I had done what I did with you. Remember when I was putting together my little Norman deck? I think before I published it, I went on with you and we went through a card at a time. As I recall, maybe I'm misrecalling that, but I think there were several people that I got their opinions on in a private Zoom, like, what do you think about this? Does this work? Should I change this? And if I had done that beforehand, then I might have been more open to the options that you're suggesting now, which I didn't do. But
and so it's your choice to, do you use the opportunity to find, to tweak it?
Yeah. We were going to talk.
Can you just create a? Can you just copy the project and make playing cards, and then add and change those cards out? That I know you can do.
I'm pretty sure I can easily add a linen option. That's pretty easy. But in terms of changing the art by adding extra cards, that's more involved. But we didn't get to this, and we don't have time now, but I might want to consult you in a private Zoom about the keywords in this deck, because this one's not finalized yet, and I don't know how I feel about it.
And Robin, I would say it doesn't have to be in linen for the 5th element and the ace through 10.
Yeah.
I'd rather have the ace through 10 and the 5th element in.
Oh, than the linen?
Than the linen. I'd like both, but I do understand what you mean with that gloss. So I can't just believe that I was like willing to forego linen. Jamie's going to call me right after this and give me a hard time. So,
well, the linen's easy because the cards are already formatted and in place, and it's just a matter of changing the cardstock to linen. I don't have to do anything with the art. The other thing is I've got to go through 2 or 3 different softwares and, create the new cards and all that. And I don't know if I love the idea of doing it that much.
So you can have it done tomorrow because you're going to be up all night thinking about it anyhow. Because when it took you so long to create it. So anyhow,
it didn't take me long. It took me. This is another one. This is my father's genes. My father was like, "You've got something to get done, do it now." He was not a procrastinator.
Yeah.
And when other people are spending months or years on their decks, here I do it in 4 hours or overnight or whatever.
Okay.
I just press on through, push on through.
Yeah.
But I'm still like having these feelings about, can I claim it as mine because I've conceived of this and edited it in a way, but didn't actually draw or paint the art. I always have issues with that.
Yeah, you'll always have issues with it, but it was available for you to use. So
yeah, and I also with those found images, I feel like if I can do it, somebody else out there can go on the same website and do it themselves, however they want. And
right.
It will show up in other people's decks, and I don't. But I did tweak the color, so I did.
Yeah, that's all right. So. All right. Thank you, Robin. And Calla Lizzie said, thanks, Robin. Congratulations on the deck. And she thanked me. Always a pleasure. And Tiny Trinkets and Tarot Ange was able to say hello to everybody. So, Robin, thank you very much for letting me join in.
Thank you for helping me and for all your input.
Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome.
And I want to talk to you about something right after, too.
Yep. Yeah, you just have to end the live.
Oh, yes. Goodbye, everybody. I should have... I noticed Jane has a little, I don't know what you call it, a little tail end.
She has a nice little saying, something
some
goodbye.
That Lisa Papez does that. I should probably come up with one. Mine is just generally...
I need to think of one, too.
See you all soon.
So,
okay, right. Let's see. End broadcast, then leave studio. Okay.
No, you just know. You end broadcast.
Leaving the studio.
Don't leave the studio yet. Yes.
Bye, everybody. See you all soon.
Bye.